Greetings, fellow conquerors. This is darkfireslide, and welcome to Mountain Blade Warband, with the Floris expanded mod. That's right, I'm going to be doing a series on Mountain Blade. If you've been keeping up on the channel, this is no surprise to you. However, for those who weren't aware, hello and welcome to what is hopefully going to be a fantastic playthrough. Now, I'm going to play this from the perspective of some, for people who haven't played Mountain Blade, kind of introducing the game and showing them how the game works, what it's about, and whether or not it'd be something they're interested in. And yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. So anyway, what is Mountain Blade Warband? Well, Mountain Blade Warband is a game where you essentially, it's a role-playing game, where you play a character in a fictitious medieval European setting. You go around between about, I believe it's 6 different factions, recruiting various troops based on historical ones, and essentially turning peasants into great, soldiers. And it's a lot of fun. It's a combination of an RPG and an RTS, and it's very fantastic in that regard. And there's just tons of stuff that you can actually do in it. So that's kind of the pro of it. Is it's a very it's a hybrid genre game that is very good at what it does, and it creates a very compelling experience to actually play. The major downside of Mountain Blade, I would say, is the graphics, which Floris expanded, the mod I'm playing, helps with, but doesn't, it's still not exactly gonna, capture your heart or anything, in terms of visuals. That being said, it's still a fantastic game with battles on a scale larger than you see in most games, and so we're going to be playing it. And now, for those who have played Warband, what is Floris Expanded? Floris Expanded is, in my opinion, the definitive way to play Mountain Blade. It rebalances a lot of the factions, creates larger, much more inclusive and unique, troop trees to recruit troops on. That's the primary benefit of it. It also adds in other features from various mods, including the famous diplomacy mod, which helps out a lot with, as you might imagine, diplomacy between lords and such, and also revamps tournaments. Also, it adds in completely new equipment, like roster, to it that more represents, I would say, historical weapons and the like, for the various factions you might be playing. Now, some people like that it's less historical in Vanilla Mountain Blade. I personally like that it's more historical. And another benefit of Floris, on top of everything else I've already mentioned, is that if, say, you want to buy a Rodok sword, well, you go to buy a Rodok sword, instead of scouring the entirety of the land trying to find a Rodok sword, you go to the Rodok lands, and oh, sure enough, in Rodok lands, they sell Rodok swords. It makes sense. Alright, so without further ado, we are going to get this game started, and let's get the ball rolling. Let's start a new game. Alright. Oh, there's a lot of reading in this game as well, so I don't know, that may bother some people. But anyway, you hear about Calradia, a land torn between rival sovereignties battling each other for supremacy, a haven for knights and mercenaries, cutthroats and adventurers, all willing to risk their lives in pursuit of fortune, power, or glory. In this land, which holds great dangers and even greater opportunities, you believe you may leave your past behind and start a new life. You feel that finally, you hold the key of your destiny in your hands, free to choose as you will, and that whatever course you take, great adventures will await you. Let us continue. Alright, so the screen is new for Floris. It's tells you exactly what your stats are going to be and what your skills are going to be at the start of the game, instead of having to kind of guess or use a wiki. And we're going to randomize. That's how we're going to keep this interesting. And then we're going to try to roleplay the character that we actually roll, basically. So let's hit randomize. Alright, we are a male. Our father was a hunter. We spent our early life as a courtier. Later we became a troubadour, and the reason we began to adventure was lust for money and power. I like this character already. Alright, let's see. We will have 7 strength, 8 agility, 5 intelligence, and 10 charisma. The intelligence could be a bit of a problem. Start with 253 dinars, which is not bad. 60 in one-handed, 40 in two-handed, 25 in polearms, 45 in archery. We could be an archer. Or 35 in crossbows. That's workable as well. We could potentially be a crossbowman. And Let's see, we have 25 in throwing, so not really going to be our thing. We also start with 2 in power draw, so the archer is seeming like a better possibility. We also get +2 to weapon master, +1 athletics, +1 riding, +1 looting, +1 foraging. That's a new skill to Floris, I believe. And +1 tracking, +2 pathfinding, +1 spotting, +2 persuasion, and +2 leadership. So we're definitely a very charismatic character, but not without complete inability to defend ourselves, which is nice. So let's read our biography, put together, completely randomly here. You were born years ago in a land far away. Your father was a hunter. You were the son of a family who lived off the woods, doing whatever they needed to make ends meet. Hunting, woodcutting, making arrows, even a spot of poaching whenever things got tight. Winter was never a good time for your family, as the cold took animals and people alike, but you always lived to see another dawn, though your brothers and sisters might not be so fortunate. You started to learn about the world almost as soon as you could walk and talk. You spent your early life as a courtier. As a boy growing out of childhood, you spent much of your life at court, inserting yourself into the tightly knit circles of nobility. With the years, you became more and more involved with the politics and intrigue demanded of a highborn man. You could not afford to remain a stranger to backstabbing and political violence, even if you wanted to. Then, as a young adult, life changed, as it always does. You became a troubadour. Though the distinction felt sudden to you, somewhere along the way you had become a man, and the whole world seemed to change around you. You set out on your own with nothing except the instrument slung over your back and your own voice. It was a poor existence, with many a hungry night when people failed to appreciate your play, but you managed to survive on your music alone. As the years went by, you became adept at playing the drunken crowds in your taverns, and even better at talking anyone out of anything you wanted. But soon everything changed, and you decided to strike out on your own as an adventurer. What made you take this decision was lust for money and power. Only you know exactly what caused you to give up your old life and become an adventurer. To everyone else, it's clear that you're now motivated solely by personal gain. You want to be rich, powerful, respected, and feared. You want to be the one whom others hurry to obey. You want people to know your name and tremble whenever it is spoken. You want everything, and won't let anyone stop you from having it. As a common man, you may face some difficulties establishing yourself as an equal among Calradia's great lords. Alright, so we are going to be playing with the expanded troop tree, and we are also going to not start in the Kingdom of the Nords, though I do like the random theme. We are going to start in the Rhodoc Republic, which unfortunately isn't actually a republic. It's just a republican name only, essentially. But yeah, we're set to go. So without further ado, let's begin our adventure as a hunter slash courtier slash troubadour who lusts for money and power. So we're definitely like going to be a noble who's really good at like backstabbing people and being manipulative, and it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Realistic, no quitting without saving, and we will go ahead and bump our intelligence up to 6 because that's going to help us in the early game at least a little bit. We will put 2 points in strength to get it up to 9, and we'll put 1 point in charisma as well. And for our early skills, we're going to take, first of all, we'll go ahead and max out leadership. We'll take 2 points of prisoner management, 1 point in trade. Let's see, I'm fine with pathfinding and spotting as they are. Let's see. No point in shield kind of hurts. I am going to pick up 1 point in shield, and we'll pick up 1 point in power strike as well. And let's see, our character name is going to be Garamond, after my favorite typeset. It was originally like one of the original typesets when the printing press actually became a thing, and it's still a font in modern, typing and word processors, if I could speak today, which is pretty great in my opinion. So I'm going to go with that name. And we actually have a 50 in crossbows, which is pretty interesting. But because we already have ranks in power draw, I am going to put some more points in archery. I'll put some more points in one-handed as well. Alrighty. Alright, here's our character. We're going to randomize until we get something that looks, remotely reasonable. Like I said, not a very pretty game. We're just trying to find something that's workable. I actually like this one a lot, actually. If I can say actually twice, and if you'll forgive me for that. Alright, well, let's be done with that. You came by ship, skirting the cliffs where the Rhodoc highlands meet the sea. Much of the coastline was obscured by tendrils of fog that snaked down the river valleys, but occasionally you caught sight of a castle watchtower rising above the mists. And on one occasion, a beacon fire burning to warn of an enemy warband. You knew that you were relatively safe at sea, as you were too far south to risk encountering the sea raiders who trouble the coasts of the Nordic lands, but it was still a relief to reach the Selver estuary, gateway to the port of Jalcala, and to see a Rhodoc galley riding at anchor, its pennants fluttering in the evening breeze. You are exhausted by the time you find the inn in Jalcala, and fall asleep quickly. However, you awake before dawn and are eager to explore your surroundings. You venture out onto the streets, which are still deserted. All of a sudden, you hear a sound that stands the hairs of your neck on end, the rasp of a blade sliding from its scabbard. Alright, so, for our starting weapons, we have a violin, which counts as a shield, hilariously enough, a Rhodoc sword, I believe, and a crossbow. Can't really complain about that. Hey, buddy. And we whiffed it, so we're just gonna take out this guy. We're not the best swordsmen, as you can see, but nonetheless, we have defeated our bandit. Why, who's this? Francesco de Medici. Are you alright? Well, I guess you're alive at any rate. I'm not sure that we could say the same for the other fellow. That's one less thief to trouble our streets at night, although heaven knows he won't be the last. Anyway, maybe you can help me with something. Let's talk more inside. Out here, we don't know who's listening. It's kind of sketchy. The merchant takes you to his house. Once inside, he stands by the door for a while, checking the street, and then, finally convinced you have not been followed, comes near you to speak. Let's talk to him. Now, let me explain my proposition. We've always had brigands in the hills, driven to banditry by war, debt, or love of violence. Recently, however, they've been getting bolder, leaving their camps in the wild and venturing into town, looking for unwary prey. The watch commander tells us it's because of all the fighting on the frontiers, fewer men to keep an eye on the streets, but I'm not sure what to make of that. It seems to me that the most logical explanation is that these bandits have an ally inside the walls, who helps them enter unnoticed, and helps them identify particularly tempting targets. Last week, you see, they took my brother. Ah, so he must be a merchant. I don't know what my brother was thinking, a lad from a prominent house, out alone after dark in times like these. Well, I suppose you were too, but you're a stranger here, and didn't know how bad things had become. He had no such excuse. But he's family, so what can you do? If you don't protect your kin, then people will start thinking that you can't protect your investments either, and I can't have that. No doubt the gang will soon send word about a ransom, but I don't care to pay it. So here's my proposition. You look like you've had a bit of experience with a blade, and, more importantly, you must have a bit of fire in your belly, or you wouldn't be coming to Calradia to seek your fortune. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Gather a small party, track down these bandits to their lair, teach them a lesson they won't forget, and get my brother back safe. In return, you'll earn my lasting gratitude and a bit of silver. What do you say? I am interested. You won't be able to do this by yourself, though. If you try and take on the whole gang single-handedly, the hunter will become the hunted, I'll warrant. You'll first want to round up a group of volunteers. There's always a few lads in the villages around here looking for a bit of work that's more interesting than tilling the soil or hauling water. They'll follow you if you pay. So, take this purse of 100 dinars. Consider it in advance on your reward. Go around to the villages and use the money to hire some help. I'll reckon that you'll need at least 5 men to take on these bandits. Very good, sir. I'll go collect some men from around the villages. Good. You can find me again in the tavern here in Jalcala after you've got your group together. Then we'll speak about what we do next. Alright, we've taken our first quest. Yada yada. Let's leave town. And, alright, so here we're on the overland map. This is the kind of strategic map, if you will. And there's actually a lot of interaction to be done. We just walked by a group of looters, for example. And we're going to attempt to recruit some volunteers. Here we have 5 Rhodoc subjects, and we will recruit all 5 of them. Curiously, we did start with 250 dinars, so we do have a decent chunk of money, at least, to work with. Alright. Let's head to this small town here of Ibdalis. Now, one thing about Floris is that the beginning is a lot tougher because the bandit parties have been seriously souped up from their vanilla counterparts. So we'll be careful of fighting those before we have an adequate army to do so. Oh, apparently a tournament is being held in Jalcala. Well, we might take part in that. However, we are not exactly an accomplished swordsman, and we're not really into that sort of thing anyway. Alright, let's take on these looters. Hey, what do you want? Surrender or die? A very stilted conversation, for sure. Alright, let's take a look. It appears we do not have a proper steed. We have an ass. Which is, as you might imagine, less than ideal than actually having a horse. We are, however, armed with a crossbow, a violin, and a sword. I'm not sure how well of a shield a violin would actually make. It would probably deflect one blow before being, you know, torn to pieces. We're not much of a rider, are we? But we'll take some pot shots at these approaching infantry here. As you can see, not exactly very accurate weapons, crossbows. Oh, we got a hit there. Another hit. I don't reckon we'll abandon our donkey here. A steed like this is better than no steed, in my opinion. Alright, we'll order the men to charge. Break formation. And simply attack. And we're going to break away from the melee. We are not exactly a courageous fellow. Men aren't exactly faring well, and in fact, almost all of them are down already. Oh, there's one more remaining. He's probably going to go down as well, though. Ow. Sir, please. Alright, looks like we need to employ some skirmishing tactics. Try to outrange these fellows. There we go. There's a good shot. Another one down. I'm very glad we have this crossbow. Much more accurate and easier to use than a bow, I'll warrant. Alright, sir. Now this episode is going a little bit over the 15-minute format I plan on having. Oh, right in the head. That'll take care of him. Ow. Yeah, we do not have very good armor, so we'll be wanting to keep these guys at a, you know, a good distance away. Oh, seems we've reached the edge of the map. Alright. Come on, my trusty steed. Can hear the rocks whizzing by. My goodness. Note to self, peasants do not make good soldiers. And this is kind of the experience you'll have with Floris at first. Dealing with the bandits is actually very difficult. I took a huge risk by doing this. We may have actually been taken prisoner if I hadn't had this donkey and this crossbow. Not exactly within range, are they? Oh well, I know a good way to get them out into the open. Let's get this donkey up here. Alright. They're still a bit of a distance away from where I would like them to be for me to start shooting them. Oh! Got a headshot there. Another one down. I realize this isn't probably the most exciting thing to watch, but it actually is quite tense. Alright, there's another one down. I believe... Oh, there's two remaining. And they both have rocks. Oof! Alright, there's a hit. Oof! They hit our mount. Well, better the ass than us, I say. Alright, there's another one down. Only one remaining. Let's finish him off with our sword. Come on, sir. There we go. Foul bandits! Your heads are mine. And there we are. We were victorious. 3 of our men were killed, 4 were wounded. We have, however, taken a prisoner. And we will be upgrading some of these men as well. Let's get 2 novices and a recruit. And This sword appears to be better than ours. It is slower, slightly, but it has much more reach, this Serenade sword. So we'll be taking that. And we'll be upgrading to this Kurgan armor as well. Although, actually, this padded slaver armor is much better than this white tunic we had. So we'll be taking advantage of that for sure. I'm quite fond of this crossbow, and maybe we will go for being a crossbowman. And the rest of this we're going to take as loot to sell to the market. Leave one slot open just in case. And we've leveled up. Alright, well, I hope, this was a good episode, a good opening to what will hopefully be a very interesting series. And I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.